continue to just lay in some of these little branches. I went and switched back to the flat brush just in order to make this a little bit faster. Remember, most of your branches are reaching for the light, so they're going to go up towards the light. Some will go down, that's for sure, but a lot of them will just be reaching for the light. And you're going to release pressure where you want those branches to get thinner. So just lay in some quick little branches into here. And go back in. You're using raw umber and burnt sienna. And remembering your branch should always be thicker where it comes off from the base of the tree and get thinner as it goes out. Should have enough strength to hold the weight. So if it gets too thick, this should be as thick as this all the way down. And always go back and add to it. So just pull out some pretty little branches because this tree is the focal point, and you want some nice pretty little foliage and limbs, and make sure you get enough paint on there that it covers. Pull back so you make sure that you get some thickness in there that will. Alright, we've got some nice interest in this tree, very different branches, and we're going to put a little bit of light on the left. And to do that, you're just going to pick up a little of just the burnt sienna and pull in a little bit of light on the left side of your picture, and that will just create just a little bit of light on that side. And pull it on down. Alright, now we're going to use a fan brush to tap in your foliage. I like a firm, stiff fan brush. You can use a bigger one and use the corner, but I'm going to use a nice skinny old beat up one because it'll give me a lighter tap to it. I'm going to wet my brush and put a nice little pool of water on my palette paper. I'm going to pick up the Hooker green, and I'm going to pick up a little black and a little raw umber. I really want a nice dark green combination, because you want it to look like a silhouette, and very lightly in different directions. You're going to just tap in some foliage on these branches up in here. And the faster you go, the lighter you'll go, and just twist and turn. You don't want it real heavy. You want to be able to see that pretty blue behind it. When your brush stops having enough, go back and pick up a little bit more and just tap in some nice dark silhouette type foliage into that. As you can see, I've got it nice and dark on there, because that's going to make that beautiful sunrise show up even more, to have some dark on that tree. And just pretend there's some more branches in there. So we're just going to tap in, like I said, go nice and fast and bounce. And tap in our foliage up in here. Make sure you turn your brush. Look how I'm twisting it from time to time. You don't want it straight little rows across. And by twisting that and turning it, it gives the impression that those leaves are coming in all different directions. They're not too heavy. And you just bounce and twist and bounce and twist. And when you run out of paint, you go back for some more. And you're just going to lightly bounce and twist and bounce. You can try it on a piece of paper first to get an impression how you want your foliage to look. I like to have it a little bit light. I don't want it too heavy in there. And I'm going to put some nice dark down this side of my tree a little bit, so I'm going to make some bark look on there. So just a little dark down back in that side. Alright, now we're going to do our foliage, little grass down underneath the tree to set it. So we're going to use some green and some yellow ochre together, which will make it a little bit lighter green. And we're going to use that same fan brush, and we're just going to rub some across and bounce some up. So it looks like some grass underneath there. I'm going to hit just a little bit more. You'll notice I put that on and then I'm wiping a little bit off. And we're just going to make some little highlighted ones. And you can pull it up and just make some little grass down in a few places. Whenever you make your grass, I'm going to go back and pick up some green so they're not too dark, too bright in there. And you're going to put some little bit of grass. And I'm going to go back underneath those with some raw umber and burnt sienna so they're not too bright. Got little pieces of foliage and grass in there. Then go back into some of your dark and set those bushes back down so they're not floating in midair. You want them to look like they're laying down, so you have to put a little bit of light and some sideways strokes underneath them. And that gives you the foreground. Now I want to put a little bit more light down in there. So I'm going to go back in to our original sunrise mixture with some of that yellow and some of that cad red light. Very lightly put a little of those colors down in here so it looks like a reflection. Make sure your brush strokes are very straight back and forth. And that just looks like a little reflection down in there. And you can pull some of that up into there. I'm going to put a little in my tree over here. And put a little bit out there. But just that little bit of light will bring attention to the center of your project. You can pick up just a hint of white on that tree. Too much, and rub it up and down, and it's got too much, and that will give that bark effect. If you rub up and down, let's go back and pick up more, and up and down with that fan brush and some light and some dark combinations will give it a little bit of a bark up here. It's in there. All right. I think I want a little bit light underneath there. Alright, and this side's going to be the darker side. Remember what we said, always the dark on that side. But make sure anytime you put the grass, you run your brush sideways underneath it to set it down. Alright. Now you've got a base